Hello and welcome to another A Star to G briefing. Today I want to talk about meetings, but I don't want to do it in that kind of here are my 5 best tips kind of thing. I've got 5 complaints from teachers, young teachers in particular, about why they don't like meetings or why they dislike meetings. And I just want to go through those so that everybody can share them and think about solutions to them and what might be going wrong. In no particular order, here are my 5 top moans about meetings. Number 1, what are the rules? Now, it seems common sense when you've been doing meetings for half your working life and that there are rules about how these things run and why they run, but in fact people don't necessarily know them and people don't necessarily understand them. So it's a really good idea to publish the rules. Let teachers know, let people know what the rules are. The rules are things like, is it a formal meeting, part of the school's management structure, or is it an informal meeting, just people getting together to talk about it, but talk about stuff? Do you print your own papers? Do you read the papers beforehand? Are there papers provided when you get there? Is there a formal agenda? Are there minutes? Do I have to read and prepare lots of stuff beforehand? Am I expected to speak? Those are the kind of rules that perhaps people don't necessarily understand. So it'd be a good idea to say, what are the rules up front? Number 2, aims and objectives. Now we do aims and objectives for all our lessons, don't we? We make sure that the pupils see them before we start our lesson. They're usually up on the whiteboard or they're written up somewhere so that learners always know what the thing is that we're working on and where we're trying to get to. Aims and objectives. So why aren't there aims and objectives for meetings? For example, just say this meeting is to formalise the Key Stage 3 subjects for next academic year. And then people know what it is that you're going to be talking about and not get off track and lose focus. Put your aims and objectives at the top of the meeting page, at the top of the agenda, or even put them up on a whiteboard like you would a lesson. It's a sign of a well-run meeting if everybody knows where they're going and what they're doing. Number 3, how long must this go on? Now, meetings always have a good start time. You know, we'll have this meeting and it'll start at 3:45 and it'll go on forever until we've finished it. Now, in fact, meetings need an end time more than anything, because there's nothing worse than trying to organise your life, your planning, your preparation, your tidying up, your rescheduling, your moving, seeing pupils, doing all sorts of other stuff when you've just got a block a sort of time where a meeting's going to take place. Publish a time when the meeting starts and publish a time when the meeting stops and stick to it. Teachers would be a lot more happy, I think, if they knew that they were only going to be in this meeting for half an hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, or whatever it might be. And make sure that you stick to it once you've started publishing it so that people can arrange for stuff after the meeting. And also, of course, if you're going to be 10 minutes late, don't disrupt a meeting, and particularly if a meeting is short. If it's a half-hour meeting and you're 10 minutes late, you arriving and asking for a catch-up and trying to keep up is going to disrupt it. So if you're 10 minutes late, don't go. And here comes an innovation for you. If you don't go to the meeting, why don't you watch the video of the meeting or the audio afterwards? Now, we're all very familiar, I know now, because I've done posts on it and I see loads of teachers using this kind of equipment in school. Audio recorders, and there's a post on A Star to G on audio recorders and how you can use them in your teaching, and little pocket video cameras. There's a similar post about how to use these and what you can use them for. Well, why not use them in your meetings as well? So if people do miss the meetings, they can read the papers, or even better, they can watch the video. Alright. Number 4 then, paperwork or no paperwork. Quite a simple, straightforward rule for this one. If the meeting is part of the formal management structure of the school, it needs paperwork. Ofsted will look for it, and that might mean an agenda and minutes all collected together, and all the papers and reports that might contribute to that meeting. That's a sign of a well-run school. Ofsted like that kind of stuff. If your meeting though isn't part of that, then you don't need paperwork, really. You really don't need paperwork at all. Now, you'll send out emails and you'll ask people to turn up and all that kind of stuff, and that's probably the paperwork that it needs. But in this day and age, you don't need paperwork. Use the video recorder and use the audio recorder. It's a quicker and more efficient way of doing exactly the same task. Now then, the last one, point number 5, whinge number 5. Meetings are really boring, aren't they? If they're boring, like your lessons, if they're boring, something's gone wrong somewhere. The subject matter of the meeting needs to be engaging if you're going to keep your audience there. But maybe you should look at the school hierarchy. Do all these people need to be at this meeting? Are they contributing, or are they just wasting time? The people who turn up at the meeting really do need to contribute and to be engaged. There's the Ofsted word, engaged with the meeting and contributing to it. And the best thing on this, I think, particularly about sticking to the times, but a really good tip, I think, is to get a great chair. The chair is a real strong asset to making a meeting efficient and driving things forward. Someone who can involve the people that need to be there, make sure everybody gets their penny's worth, make sure the meeting moves forward, doesn't get bogged down, stops people who are getting a bit worked up or whatever. The chair is the best person you can get, a real time saver and someone who will really make the meeting fizz. And that might not be you, by the way. You might have to do a meeting. You don't have to be the chair, though. You can get someone who is just a really good chair to do it for you. So those are the 5 boring things, 5 whinges that teachers come up with. What are the rules? Tell people. Aims and objectives. Let's know whether this meeting is really trying to achieve, and let them put it at the top of the page. And how long must this go on? Let's have a start time and a finish time so that people can plan stuff afterwards. Paperwork or no paperwork, make sure that's really clear and make sure people know what they're meant to do with the paperwork, and have a really good chair who drives it really forward and gets what you need out of it. So those are it, 5 whinges on what's bad about meetings. Hope that's a help, an interesting thing to think about, just as we're about to start a new term. And meetings are on their way. Look forward to them in January. Thank you very much.